Since 2018, representatives from Australia and the United States have engaged in an annual dialogue to refresh the alliance's thinking about deterrence in an era of strategic competition with China. These discussions have underscored several assumptions and expectations in need of revisiting, including as to where the Allies should expect to better defend, deter and, if necessary, fight together in the Indo-Pacific. However, the Pacific Islands region (PIR) remains somewhat peripheral to these discussions. Historically, the region has not been a leading source of traditional military threats, but America and Australia can no longer afford to overlook the PIR as a locus of Chinese security activity. Indeed, a Pacific base could give China a foothold for operations to coerce Australia, outflank the U.S., and collect intelligence in a regional security crisis. There is arguably a growing need to incorporate planning and action against this possibility, however slim, into alliance discussions. Both allies have long-standing regional interests, but are both guilty of under-resourcing and under-engagement save for short-term moments of crisis-driven interest. Some argue that the growth in Chinese influence in the PIR has occurred while Washington has been asleep at the wheel. While aid and trade have been Washington's preferred avenues for engagement, the capacity and resourcing problems associated with the Obama administration's Asia rebalance arguably impacted on security engagement with the PIR too. Indeed, the region remains peripheral to the Trump administration's strategic thinking. The 2017 National Defense Strategy does not mention the PIR once, while Indo-Pacific strategy documents from the Department of Defense and Department of State do not provide long-term blueprints for addressing the region's strategic challenges. Notwithstanding encouraging signs in the FY20 NDAA, contemporary U.S. strategic interests in the PIR truly remain somewhat unclear. Historically, Australia's PIR policies have also waxed and waned, though its recent behaviour is more encouraging. Canberra had become accustomed to perceiving the Pacific as a source of primarily non-traditional security threats, and distant campaigns in the Middle East have driven capability development and operational spending since 2001. Fortunately, China's growing Pacific profile has shifted Australia's strategic attention and resources back to the region. Aid and infrastructure have formed the most visible components of the government's Pacific Step-Up policy to date, but Canberra has also upscaled regional security engagement. Among other initiatives, the annual Indo-Pacific Endeavour naval exercise was conducted through the Pacific in 2018, while Australia is sponsoring programs to improve states' maritime domain awareness and surveillance capabilities, and standing up a Pacific support force to lead regional military training. There is evidently some distance between current Australian and American perceptions of the PIR's strategic importance, and it could not come at a more significant time. Though perhaps driven more by strategic opportunism than grand strategy, China's growing regional influence could have serious implications for the alliance should Chinese-funded infrastructure projects facilitate a regular military presence. Such a development would allow China to surveil alliance peacetime activities, exert control over vital waterways, or threaten local forces in the event of major conflict in Asia. Weak regional governance and the generally small scale of infrastructure required create a favorable cost-benefit dynamic for China should it eventually seek strategic access. However, some alliance practitioners allege that military expansionism is Beijing's long-term goal.